What's happening, guys? My name is Luca Scheller, aka Cube Digital, and welcome to another CG tutorial. Today I will show you guys how to use the new Sunbeams node in Blender 2.72 with an animated object or a moving camera. So let's get started. So here I have this basic scene. It's downloaded from BlendSwap. I'll show you the link right here. It's called Living Room Daylook by Baby Darling. And I changed the room a tiny bit, but not much, and I simply gave it an HDR lighting. I think I took this one, the helipad afternoon or golden hour, or maybe the Barcelona rooftops. I think those are one of the best ones on this site. Okay, so let's head back to the scene, and by the way, you can download the scene on my site, to which I will put the link in the description, and it will be on the top right here after I will have posted this tutorial. Okay, so let's get started. So we have the scene right here, and I'm gonna show you quickly what the Sun node basically does. So let's go to the node editor, and a quick way to do that is to click on this icon and press the N key. And if you press you can see these underlined letters in the beginning right here, and if you just click on this icon and press the letter, then you will skip to that viewport, or that view. Okay, so in the node editor, I have rendered out this image, and what you can do with the new Sunbeams node is just, okay, we'll add it first, so go to Shift-A, Filter, and Sunbeams. So you have the Sunbeam node, and what you can do is input an image or an alpha channel, and from that, sunbeams will be created. And the origin point of those sunbeams will be at the coordinates you put here. So let me just simply do that. I'm going to add a color mix node and just plug it in there. And I'm going to take the alpha channel and I'm going to invert it. So this is our source, and these are our sunbeams. So right now you can't see anything because the sunbeams node has to be, the ray length value in the sunbeams node has to be greater than 1 so that the sunbeam node can work. So let's raise that, and as you can see we get sunbeams from that point. So I'm gonna quickly raise that up, put it right there, and look at this image. And I'm just gonna press Control Shift if you've never done compositing before to make the viewer go to the currently clicked node. Okay, so it's not working because we have to enable the alpha channel of the second image, and no, it's working. Let's increase that ray length. And as you can see, we get some God rays. Hope it's visible in the video. Actually, just let me add a background. By the way, I have the Node Wrangler add-on installed, which I really recommend because you can really quickly just connect nodes with the control and right click button. And it also has other options. For example, let me see, if you click Control Shift, you get the output button of the left node and the input button of the right node. Okay, and let me see, what was the other option? Alt and two nodes connected create a mix node. So it's just a simple tip right there. You can find the add-on under the user preferences and then the add-on tab. Okay, so as you can see, we get some nice God rays. There are a couple of problems here, but the main problem is that if we were to animate, if we have camera animation, or if the God rays come from and are emitted from an object that moves, the God rays wouldn't really move, because of course we would have to animate these values. You could of course animate them manually, but if you have like a complex camera animation, there's an easier way to do that, and this is what I will show you in this tutorial. So I will do this via drivers, an expression, and a tracking point. And in the future, because currently this node doesn't give us access to the X and Y input, so we can't input any like nodes like into the X or Y. And if it's fixed in the future, all you have to do then is follow this tutorial too, and all you have to do then is go to input tracking position, open up your footage, select your tracking marker, and then go X to the X and Y to the Y. But I'm going to show you how to do that with a driver and an expression. Okay, So let's head back to our scene. I'm gonna delete those. Okay. And again, to emphasize what we're doing, I'm gonna go to my website right here. Again, the link is in the description. So this is without the fix. As you can see, the God rays change direction as the camera moves. So of course this wouldn't really happen in real life, or if we would have rendered it with normal volumetrics. And this is the fixed version. So you can see the God rays are fixed, so they stay in the same position in space, in 3D space. Okay, so let's get started. Let me select the correct blend file. So what you have to do is go to the 3D view, and in the scene I've put all the elements on the first render layer right here. So it only renders the first layer, and what I'm going to do now is add a second layer. And on this layer, I'm going to tell this layer to only render our second scene layer right here. And I'm going to press Shift A and add a sphere. Could also be a cube, but I'm just going to use a sphere. Let's move it, but that doesn't really matter. And I'm just going to add a material and call it sphere. And I'm just going to make it an emission material. Again, if you select something, press the first letter or the not the first letter, but the underlined letter, you can directly enter that material or that value. So I'm going to press E to add an emission material, and I'm just going to make it red. And you can make it a color of your choice. It doesn't really matter, because we're just going to track this sphere, and it's going to be a really basic track. So I'm just going to place this sphere around the origin point of our God rays. And the most important part here is that we place the sphere at the correct distance from the camera. So we could also place it like right here or right here. We can still, of course, change the position of the God rays afterwards, but the important part is that the correct parallax happens with the camera and the sphere. So the correct movement or turning movement. So we get the correct counter animation for our God rays. Okay, so I'm just gonna place it roughly around here, and of course you have to move it to the window and press M and make sure it's on the second layer only. And in your second render layer you can name it sphere, and I'm gonna rename the main layer main, or just leave it at render layer. And the important part here is, again, make sure the sphere is excluded from, okay, let's see. Sorry, I have to click on the main layer and of course exclude the sphere layer, so that when I render the main layer, I don't see the sphere, and the sphere also doesn't cast light on my main layer. So enable exclude for the sphere layer. Okay, and by the way, Control B is to create that render border, and Control Alt B is to clear it. Okay, I'm just gonna change the viewport color so it's easier to see. And yeah, so then you're ready to go. Make sure you're rendering to an OpenEXR multi-layer image, and make sure the RGBA alpha channel is checked. And for this animation, I'm also rendering out the environment paths in the main render layer, so that I get the HDR background as a render layer or render pass output. Okay, and the last quick tip right here is when you render animations, be sure to change the seed value for each frame, and a quick way to do that is to head to the graph editor and just right click on the seed value, add a driver. Of course, I've already added one in this scene, and to add this expression, which just looks up the current frame and puts it as a value. So then you get a random seed at each value. And this is important because if you don't do this and your image is noisy, it will have the same noise pattern across your whole animation, and it's just a static noise pattern over your whole animation. So that's a quick tip for you there. And by the way, there are some softwares that can sample out noise patterns, so that is or could be a way to get rid of ugly noise in your images, but that's another topic. Okay, so what you have to then is render this out, and of course I've already done that. And what you then have to do is open up a new version of Blender, make sure your frame rate is correct and your image size. You can delete all those things right here, and just head to the node editor again, and I'm just gonna enable use nodes and backdrop, and delete that render layer node, and input a image. Let's put an image node, and when you open that stuff, what you get is this. So just press A to select everything, and then you have your animation. So if you look at it and scroll through the timeline, you have this small little camera animation. Okay. And what you have to do now is just take the sphere render layer and just output that as a sequence. So just go to output and JPEG. So the quality or the bit depth is not that important right here. And so just change that to JPEG, RGB, quality 100%, and output that. And what you get is just a black image when you output it. Okay, with the red dot, of course. So then in your main scene, go to the movie clip editor, open up your sequence with the red point. So open that clip. And what you have now is just a red dot. So what you have to do now is track it. So if you've never done tracking before, it's not a big deal. So all you have to do is press Control and click where you want to have your tracking marker. So I want to have it right there. Press the G key to position it, and the R key to rotate it, and S key to scale it. So it's the same controls as in the 3D view. And all you have to do now is press Control T and track it. So I'm gonna actually head to the first frame and quickly reposition it. So make sure you're on the first frame, and just press Control T or press this track forward button. And if it fails, which it really shouldn't, just reposition the marker and track forward again. Okay, so as you can see, we have our tracking marker. So the important part here is that you give it a name up here. So I'm gonna call it dot, and it's important to remember this name. And the other important name you have to remember is the name of your image sequence. So you can rename it down here, but I'm gonna keep it at the standard name it was given when I loaded it, and that's it for this right here. So now head back to your node editor, and let's see what we have to do. Yeah, so now we can add our sunbeams. So what you can do here is take that node and just cut those by pressing Control and dragging over those lines so they get separated. Press Shift A and add the image sequences again. So let's see. Add the clay render, and I'm just gonna input those points again. If you want the alpha channel, if you want the alpha channel with an OpenEXR multi-layer image, just go to Converter and separate RGBA and input that image, and the last output is your alpha channel. Okay, so if we look at our inputs, we get this. And here I have my HDR background. I'm just going to press auto refresh. And yeah, that's that. So let's create our sunbeams again real quick. So add a color mix node, add a filter, sunbeams node. Again, color invert, select the alpha channel, plug it into the color, and plug that into the sunbeams node. What I also like to do is put a filter soften node, or actually it's called filter, and then you have a soften filter type. because the sunbeams node sometimes have a pixelated or bad quality a tiny bit, so the soften just blurs it out, so they look really nice and smooth. So that's what we have to do right here. And then just take the mix node, let's see, take the mix node. Actually, I'm just gonna unplug this node by pressing Alt-D and plug it right here. It doesn't really make a difference. I'm just going to take this stuff, the color mix node, and I'm going to mix it with our main image again. So right now, if we look at that, let's see. If we look at that, okay, what am I doing wrong? Let's see. Main image here, main image here. Oh, I have the wrong inputs. Or do I? Oh, actually I have to add the pixels, not mix them. Okay, so that's how our image looks right now. The node setup I have up here is just a simple vignette depth of field, which I disabled by pressing the M key, and a background image, which is just in a group and it's color corrected. And you can just tab out and in to access the group. So again, just gonna plug, let's see where I have to plug this in, right here. And oh, I actually already added the add node right here in the node setup. So all you have to do is look at it like, let's see what I'm doing wrong. Oh, I used the red channel. Okay, sorry for that. So now it's working. So all you have to do now is position it upwards, and now of course we have to add our drivers. So this is what it looks like now. And of course if we would scroll ahead in the timeline, the God rays don't move, so we want to change that. So what you have to do now is press right click on the X value, add a driver, a single driver, go to the graph editor, so click here and press G. Go to the drivers, so switch from F curve to driver, and what you have to do, okay, this is a mistake, so go back to node editor and select the Sunbeams node, again go to the graph editor, and now you have your Sunbeams driver right here. And by the way, if you turn this off, you would have also seen the driver without selecting it. So this is just a selection based driver visibility. Okay. So you can delete the standard variable here because we're only going to use an expression, and you can get the expression from my website. So it's, if you scroll down, it's right here. So I'm just going to copy that. And actually I'm going to quickly just head into my final scene because there I have the naming conventions already done. I don't have to redo that. So I'm just going to paste it here, and if you update, you then have created that driver. And so something real quick how the expression works. So what we have here is we're accessing the movie clip. So here you have to put the name of your sequence. In my case, that's the 001.jpg or whatever you renamed it to. Then you're going to the tracks, what track you want to look at in the data structure. So here you have to put the name of your tracking point. I named mine dot. Then each tracking point has a marker stored for each frame. So we're going to head into the marker array or marker dictionary. And then we're going to find the frame, and here we access again what we accessed entered at the seed value, which is just a lookup for the current frame of the scene. So basically we're just looking up where the tracking position is of the current marker at the current frame. So right here we're looking up coordinate and x. So again, just accessing the data structure, finding your marker, find your tracking point, accessing the marker at the current frame, and here you have the x, and if you replace the x with the y, you get, of course, the y position. And if you do add or subtract a value right here, you can offset your values. So let's head back into Blender. So here I input that. If you press Update Dependencies, you will now see, if you head back to the node editor, that we have a driver value. And if we scroll through the timeline, it changes. Okay, so just right click here, press Copy Driver and paste driver. And of course we have to change back, go back to the graph editor, select the Y driver, and of course change the Y coordinate, the X coordinate to Y. Again, press Update Dependencies. Okay. And as you can see right now, the position of the God ray is not really optimal. So I'm just gonna quickly change it to values that I just tested out via just adding a offset, like I explained before. Let's see. So right here, the first one. It's not working. Let's see. Okay, something's freezing up in the other Blender version. So 0.2, I guess. Just do it quickly then. Turn that off. So it's 0.2, and the other one, just gonna estimate it. Right now it's up there somewhere. That's way too high. I'm just gonna maybe just add nothing to it for now. So now we get our position right here, and if we scroll through the timeline, it stays at the same point. So as you can see, it works pretty nicely. So let's get to troubleshooting really quick, or some quick tips, so it looks a bit better. So as you can see, the God rays would be blocked by this table right here. So what you could either do is, when you rendered your image sequence, you could have added an object index pass or material index pass, and then added those either by going to, is it relations and pass index. So this is for your object index, or in the material tab you can add your pass index right here, and then it will give you maths for your object or for your material. But in general, I find that these maths are often not that high of a quality, so I don't like to use them. The second option you can do here is put objects that are in front of the God ray, or that would block the God ray, on another render layer. So you would have an alpha for them that way. And the way I chose it, because I forgot to create my maths during rendering, is by using the depth pass. So a quick workaround here is just adding a filter and, vector normalize. So this maps the depth pass, which has values which are, let me quickly show you that, which are, as you can see down here, which are above 1. And it just maps those values to a 0 to 1 range. So here you have the 0 to 1 range picture. And what I then do is just go to Converter, Color Ramp, and plug that in by pressing Ctrl, right click, and drag if you have the Node Wrangler add-on. And what you get then is the same image, but now you can remap it. So the black pixels is the part where the God rays are not visible, and I'm going to change the interpolation to ease to give it a smoother gradient. So this way you can quickly smooth that out. Of course it's not a perfect matte, but for this example it's fine. So all you have to do now is duplicate this color mix node, change it to multiply, and multiply it by this and change the factor to 1. So what you get is a cutout of your God rays. And if you want to change the color of your God rays, I have to remap that. If you reconnect that, if you want to change the color of your God rays, all you have to do is again duplicate the color mix node, leave it at multiply, and just give it a small tint of a color, maybe a slight orange. Okay, that's a bit green or orange. Okay, so now you have that, and now you have your God rays. Maybe I'm just gonna make this blue in this video, but in the original scene I had it at a slight, very slight yellow. Okay, so basically that's it. The vignette is just a simple ellipse mask, blurred and then multiplied on top of it. And the depth of field is not the usual way, because I like to use the depth pass to just give it a quick depth of field. So all this is doing is again taking the depth pass, normalizing it, then remapping it to the parts where I want to have depth of field. So if I look at this image, all the white parts have a blur and all the black parts don't. So what this gives us is this. So the background is blurred, the foreground is blurred, and the middle part is visible. And I like to use this way because with the depth of field node, we have to give the camera a focal distance value, and this way you can always just do it in post-processing. So I guess that's it from me, guys. If you have any questions, just head on to my website. It's just Luca Scheller, DE. And just post your comments down here, or just send me a message on Facebook or on YouTube, and I will try to answer it. So thanks for watching, guys, and stay awesome.